So the commercial real estate market has traditionally had a barrier to entry for retail real estate investors, and the real estate market in general has had some wild ups and downs, to say the least, in the last year. Joining us to speak about the market in general and a new way for retailers to get involved in the commercial real estate market is Jesse Doherty and Drew Starrett, the co-founders and co-CEOs of LEX. Gentlemen, it's great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get into some of the talking points we have here. Let's just discuss what are some of the barriers to entry for retail investors in the commercial real estate market. What are some of the blockers that may keep them from getting involved? And what are some of the things that traditionally, as we mentioned in the intro, have been a barrier for retail investors to the commercial real estate market?
So there is no easy, direct way to access commercial real estate. The only available option are public REITs, which are highly correlated with the markets. And as we've seen the markets, especially in this time where COVID continues, in the middle of a pandemic with a whole bunch of uncertainty, it doesn't quite provide the utility value that it does from direct real estate ownership.
Yep. And so there's, for just generally real estate for an investor, right? There's a high cost of entry. If you're trying to get in the real estate game, if you're not dealing in fractionalized real estate, which Lex is introducing to a large extent, you're going to have a large amount of capital to get involved. There's exclusivity. So again, if you have the capital, even still, it's largely a relationship game. There's a lot of like club deals, there's a lot of relationships required generally in the real estate industry and business. And then there's also a legal designation that also inhibits access to some extent, which is accreditation requirements that formerly have prevented individual investors to a large extent from investing in different types of commercial real estate investments. So there are REITs, of course, which are an option for investors to invest in commercial real estate. A difference between LEX and REITs is that LEX are individual assets they're investing in versus REITs are, generally a portfolio of assets.
And then in addition, I would add, with traditional direct real estate investment, you're investing in an asset where you are locked up and you have no way to exit your position until the sponsor or the general partner allows you to, so you could be stuck in an asset for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So no liquidity or very little.
Got it. Okay, good info. And we're going to talk about LEX in just a second and how specifically to get started with the platform and why it's an option for retail investors to get involved in the market. But I want to tee this up again to both of you really quickly. Obviously a big topic the last year. So how has the real estate market been affected by the COVID pandemic and the events of 2020? Can you give us just a little bit of perspective on how the market's been affected?
So it's actually sort of interesting. I mean, we've seen a lot of changes throughout the entire COVID pandemic, but a lot of it was actually almost coming beforehand, where you had some hesitancy with straight retail. Hospitality has been hit a lot harder than most, but we've also seen actually certain geographic locations actually do quite well, and actually seen sort of populations move, and also sort of how people use their lives and sort of interact with their communities. So in many cases, actually real estate has benefited in different geographic areas.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk specifically about LEX. Obviously, really exciting platform. It's a pleasure to be working with you guys and kind of getting this platform in front of our audience. But LEX specifically, offering individual investors access to the market, how does that process work? Getting started on the platform, making investments, what does that process look like start to finish as investors get involved with LEX?
Probably the easiest way to describe it is it's basically creating a brand new brokerage account akin to Robinhood or your TD Ameritrade account. Any traditional brokerage platform is really the process where you're able to access these securities through the LEX web and mobile brokerage platform, and then also have access to them directly from any brokerage account in the world.
Yep. And so when you sign up for LEX, you fill out your details just like you would on, like Drew says, Robinhood, any other brokerage account. You fund your account just like you would a brokerage account. And when you're in, you see all the assets that LEX has underwritten that are either coming soon, are now IPOing, or have already IPO'd and are now trading on the LEX ATS. And so you can basically indicate interest in deals that are coming soon, saying once the IPO opens, you want to invest. You can see IPOs that are happening. And if they're happening, you can immediately put your funds into the IPO at a fixed price of $250 a share. And once that IPO is filled, it closes and you get your shares. Or you can, if the IPO is closed and then property is now trading, you can basically post to limit orders to buy, or if you already hold it, to sell shares of that individual asset on the LEX ATS. And those orders get routed from the LEX brokerage app to the LEX alternative trading system, the LEX ATS, and just execute against other client orders, 9:30 to 4 p.m., just like standard market hours.
Got it. Okay, outstanding. So kind of last question here, but also very applicable to both of you, I think. What does LEX see coming up in the market in the future? Potential returns, events that might affect the market and things like that. What do they see retail investors being able to take advantage of with the LEX platform? Why is it so important to get started now? What should retail investors be focused on? And again, like I said, what does the LEX platform provide in terms of taking advantage of the market right now and in the immediate future?
It's really access, opportunity, cash flow, and hedge against inflation. I would say sort of lack of correlation with the market, since I know there is a lot of uncertainty out there. If anyone tells you they know exactly what's happening, I would run in the opposite direction. So it really is a good hedge and also placement into direct alternatives that are not correlated with your traditional equities, fixed income products, because they're backed by hard assets, producing cash flow, and also tax advantaged. So it really is a way to diversify your portfolio by actually owning hard assets across the United States.
And I think our position on real estate and why investors deserve access to real estate and why our mission is important is not so much a real estate is poised to outperform everything else. It's just a general looking backwards. Real estate has been such a great such a great asset class that investors have not had the access to, and the owners haven't had the liquidity, and investors haven't had the liquidity. So it's just kind of pulling time out of it. Just generally looking back, there hasn't never been this level of access. And so completely irrespective of anyone's outlook on the future, I think it's good for everyone to have access.
Awesome. Drew, Jesse, co-founders and co-CEOs of LEX Markets. It's been great having you guys on. Jesse, really quickly, can you just give our audience a place or the easiest site to find out more about LEX and how to get started with you guys?
Yep, it's www.lex-markets.com. or just www.lexmarkets.com, no dash. Either one works.
Fantastic. Looking forward to getting this in front of our audience and seeing what you guys do next. Drew and Jesse, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.